Standardized values or z-scores can be utilized in many different ways. For example, z-scores define the relative location of values in a dataset, which allow us to detect outliers very easy. In addition, standardized values can be used in linear regression models to compare the relative influence of independent variables on the dependent variable. To standardize variables in SPSS and save the results as new columns, you need to go to Analyze, then Descriptive Statistics, then Descriptives. In this window, you can choose the variables you wish to standardize. In this case, I'm going to standardize miles, which is in miles, deliveries, which is in numbers or quantities, and then time, which is in hours. And then you'll have to check the option on the bottom, which is Save Standardized Values as Variables, and then click OK. This option will allow you to create the 3 new columns without overwriting the old columns over here. Now you will get your descriptive statistics table, minimize that, and then you will see your newly created variables. Now if you run a linear regression using the raw data, the output window will give you the standardized beta coefficient, which come from these columns here, which means SPSS does this in the background. So let's run a linear regression model and then try to replicate the results using our newly created variables. So if you go to Analyze, then Regression, then Linear, here we can choose our model. In this case, I'm going to predict the time that a driver will take to deliver all the packages in hours using miles, in miles, and deliveries, of course, in numbers. If I click OK, I get my results over here, and you can see that the unstandardized coefficient tell us that deliveries have a higher number, which is 0.69, as compared to miles, which is 0.067. However, we cannot compare the influence of these two variables using magnitude, because the two variables have different units. For comparison, you will need to use the standardized coefficients, which SPSS give you by default. And if you look at the standardized beta coefficient, you will see that actually miles has a higher influence on time compared to deliveries, because the standardized coefficient is higher in magnitude, 0.679 compared to 0.580. Let's try to replicate these results using our newly created columns. You can get the same results by choosing all standardized variables in your regression model. So let's go to linear regression again, delete our old variables, and then now add the standardized ones instead. So let's do the z time as dependent, and then z miles and z deliveries. If we click OK, you will see now that the unstandardized and the standardized are exactly the same, because we use standardized columns in our results. And those were the coefficient that SPSS gave us earlier in the second column only, over here. So SPSS did do the standardization in the background and gave you the results without, of course, saving the variables. In addition, you got the unstandardized beta coefficient. Alternatively, you can get only the standardized coefficients in both columns if you standardize your dataset.